YouTube channel and welcome to Dolly's World. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, TikTok and obviously YouTube. So today I'm going to talk about the difference in living in Kenya, going to school in Kenya, living in England and going to school in England. So I've been very lucky, I have to say, that I've been able to do these two things, because not everybody can say that, you know, that they've lived and gone to school in two different countries. So I'm obviously originally from Kenya. My family is Kenyan. Habari yenu, mimi naitwa Dolly na leo nataka kuongea mambo ya shule ya Kenya na shule ya Ulaya or utasema UK. Tutasema UK. Going to school, I'll start off with in England. Going to school in England is very, very different from going to school in Kenya. I had a major culture shock and a major discipline shock, because going to school in Kenya, when the teacher comes into a classroom, you have to stand up and greet that teacher. When a teacher in England walks into a classroom, you pay them no mind, to be honest with you. You pay them no mind. But in Kenya, discipline is 10-10. Like, as soon as a teacher walks in, you have to stand up and greet them by their name, obviously their surname, and it was on a completely different level. And studying in England, going to school in England, there was so much freedom. Like, you could do everything you wanted to do. But in Kenya, it's completely different. Like, it's literally military style. Like, there's no games when you're going to school. Even though, I don't want to say the school that I went to, just in case I say something. Neither the schools that I went to, just in case I say something offensive, and then the schools, like, you know, try to sue me or something. But yeah, it was just completely different. Personally, my personal preference, I think education-wise and discipline, Kenya, you cannot compare. Like, there's no comparison than going to school in England. England, there's a lot of freedom, like so much freedom. The one thing I can say, when I went to school in Kenya, the thing that I disliked the most was how people pronounce my name. That was annoying. Everyone called my name, said my name as Dori. My name has no R, it's L. So I was constantly telling people, my name is Dolly, and they kept going Dori or something else, or they were just like mispronouncing it. That was a bit annoying, but that's neither here or there. But initially, I found that the schools in Kenya have more like structure. It's just more structure. I don't know whether, because obviously the school I went to in England was a public school, and obviously my folks didn't pay for the school, and the school I went to in Kenya, it was obviously paid for. It was just so much more structure. And again, as you guys know, I'm dyslexic. The classrooms were so much more smaller, so you had a lot of one-to-one. A lot of one-to-one with your teachers. So your teachers kind of like knew where you were at academically. And let's say that like people in your class had moved on ahead for a different topic and you still hadn't grasped it. It was okay, because we were literally 9 in a class. So it was okay. That perspective of it was really good. And obviously, being an only child, it was really difficult for me to be in a boarding school, because obviously I was away from my family, especially my mom. It was very difficult being away from my mom, and it was just difficult in that perspective. And I also found, especially everyone in England obviously is like, we're alike in many ways. You know, we speak the same, we've been like brought up in the same surrounding, we just kind of understand each other. When I went to school in Kenya, they did not understand me. They didn't. Nilikuwa naitwa Mwafrika Mzungu, which was so annoying, because I would have thought being Kenyan and going to school in Kenya, it would be the place where I was most accepted, but it wasn't. I felt more outcast in school in Kenya than I've ever felt in a school in England. That was another reason that was a bit difficult for me to grasp. And also, another thing that I found was the communication with schools in Kenya, right? It's like you can't like debate with a teacher or say that they are wrong in any way, shape or form. If they say something, that is it, it's final, finish. You cannot like voice your opinion on anything. Whereas schools in England, you can kind of voice your opinion. If you don't agree with something, you can kind of say what you do and don't agree with. But the schools in Kenya, you could not voice your opinion in any way, shape or form. You could not voice your opinion. So that was a little bit difficult because I've got a big personality and like I like to voice my opinion and say what I don't like. And then the other thing that was really dreadful in a boarding school, you had to wake up early. You had to wake up so early and get to class. I was forever getting in trouble for not waking up early. And the other good thing it was when I was in boarding school is that you had a sister allocated to you. So she was like a house dormitory sort of mum. So she was allocated to you. So she would do your washing and all stuff, clean your room and stuff. So that was nice, but it's not the same as being at home. And we were really not forced, but like pushed to do everything. Like we did gardening in Kenya, we did like all the sports. Where in England, you're kind of like, you kind of get a choice to pick and do what you want. In Kenya, you did not get a choice. Like you had to do everything. There wasn't no like girls play football and boys don't. If we're playing football, we're all playing football. So that was another thing. And also, I guess it's the demographic of people that I went to school with in Kenya was completely different. Like I went to school with, prime example, with like kids whose parents were like, whose grandparents are like ex-presidents of Kenya and stuff. So that was a little bit interesting, considering to like going to school in England where everybody was just like this, like the same. Not to say that going to school was something free, but you get what I mean. That was a little bit different. But the most challengingest thing was, I think, was like the culture shock of how like if somebody is older than you in Kenya, you couldn't disagree with them. You had to basically do what they say and say what they do. So that was really difficult. And I guess that's why like a lot of kids like who come from like foreigner backgrounds or parents who've immigrated from different countries, it's really hard for us to get a sense of balance because like the culture difference is so hard. So even when I went to Kenya, the culture difference, even though I am Kenyan, was really difficult for me. And nobody recognized that I was dyslexic in school. Like they just thought I was just stubborn and I just didn't apply myself. To be fair with you, I've never really liked school. To be honest with you, I've never really liked school. I've always been, even when I went to school in England, I was always a mischievous child. I was always a child that like just got up to mischief, because I've never really enjoyed school. It's never been something that I actually enjoyed going. And I actually found the kids in Kenya were so mean. They were actually mean. Not the boys so much, but the girls, they were very mean. They were not very nice. The girls were very mean. And I guess, again, because I was different and I came from a different place, like they would come into my room and like steal stuff. And mind you, these are people who come from like really like affluent families. So they would come into my room and steal stuff. So that was a bit odd. I found that a bit strange, but I guess it's like maybe the things that I had, like it's not that they couldn't afford it, but they didn't have access to it, so they wanted it. So that was a bit different. And it was so, like I said again, it was so military in the Kenyan school. The boys had to walk on one side and the girls had to walk on another side. And in the classrooms, we like sat together, but it was like almost separate. The girls sat on one side and the boys sat on another side. So that was a little bit odd. That was a bit strange. But we got in my Kenyan school, we got to go to the most amazingest trips. Like we got to go to such wonderful like school trips. which was really nice. And but I can honestly say, even though the hardships that I went through going to school in Kenya, my most like thing that I took from going to school in Kenya was like my work ethic. Like, it was like, even though like I said to you, a lot of the people's parents were quite affluent and they had loads of money, right? But they were people that come from real humble beginnings. So there were people that, you know, like started from nothing and made businesses doing whatever it is that they did. So they come from real humble beginnings, and the work ethic that like they installed into their children was incredible. Like, it just made you like realize how like it's so important to apply yourself. Where the school I went to personally, I'm not bashing English schools, but the school I went to, it wasn't, work ethic wasn't really something, like, you know, it wasn't really important. Well, I mean, these kids that I went to school with in Kenya, they didn't really have to succeed well in school. Like, their parents were already set out ways where they like probably work in their businesses or something like that. But the way the kids applied themselves was amazing. And the schools in Kenya, you can't tell who comes from money. You cannot tell who comes from money. You cannot tell this person's dad, like, you know, like some kids were dropped off in my school with helicopters, but you could not tell that they came from money. Like, they just acted like everybody else, and that was really surprisingly to me, because even though they were not the boys, even though the girls were mean, we were all the same. We were like all the same, which was really nice, and it was good. It was a good experience for me. So going to Kenya in school definitely changed my outlook on life, because as soon as I left school, I came back to England. I knew I never wanted to work for somebody. I just knew it was not like the road for me to work for somebody. Like, it wasn't the angle that I wanted to go for. And yeah, so I have to say that I've been really lucky to be able to experience these two things, and I guess like the sense of waking up early and like having to apply myself and doing certain things installed a lot of discipline in me. So then it's also helped me like now as an adult do certain things and like be able to discipline myself in certain things and just be able to apply myself. And schools in Kenya, children don't, alright, the school I went to, kids don't like go to the back of the back of the building and smoke or drink. They just don't do that. Like, it is not a thing. Like, it is not a thing. Where the school in England, girls like were smoking from like young ages or drinking or smoking weed. Kenyan school, they just don't do that. They just don't do that. And I felt the Kenyan schools as well, kids were kids for a lot longer of the time. Nobody was in a rush to like grow up and be an adult. Everybody was taking their time. And one thing that I really like noticed in Kenyan schools, the beauty standards, like what was beautiful was almost like non-existent. So like, it wasn't like, nobody would ever describe somebody as in like I don't know, like the brown skin girl or the dark skin girl. Everybody would always refer to somebody by their name or by their surname or by their surname. Nobody referred it to anyone like by what they looked like or what colour their skin was. That's another thing I noticed. But going to school in England, everybody referred to themselves like, at the top of my head, Shaniqua, light skin Shaniqua, or brown Bobby, or or mixed race so and so. They did not refer color or like what somebody looked like. It wasn't anything. Even though they did call me Mzungu Mwafrika, but amongst themselves they did not describe you by this color of your skin or what your hair looked like or anything like that. So that was a breath of fresh air to take in. And another thing with Kenyan schools, you pay accordingly. Like, everyone's school fees was different. Like, we wouldn't pay the same school fees. Everybody paid this different kind of school fees. Yeah, so I didn't further my education and go to university. I just got in, stuck in, and started working. But I am so grateful that my mom and like my family did really like give me that opportunity to like be able to study in 2 different countries. And it was very interesting. Going to Kenya really has made me the person that I am and installed a lot of discipline in me. And I don't think I would have had that sort of discipline if I didn't go to school in Kenya. Me personally, I would definitely send my kids to a boarding school. I think you learn to deal with all types of different characters. You learn to deal with all types of different types of people, types of behavior. How you adjust and take certain things is just really, you just learn how to deal with things, because we were all so different. We had different religions, we were brought up differently, we thought differently. So you just learn to deal with different types of characters, which was really good. Where would I like to live? I would definitely like to move back to Kenya and live there permanently, eventually one day, sooner than later. And I'm just thinking, we're obviously going to clear this. Oh! I've been talking so much, I forgot, my usual. I've got a bubble tea. I've got a green bubble tea today with apple and kiwi. It is so refreshing. So that will be it for today. And our last 3 videos have all been get to know me, and now we'll probably start doing some more fun stuff now that you guys know about my educational background, about where I'm from, what I do, what I don't like, how I've improved as a person. So now we're going to start doing other things. We're really going to get into like Dolly's world and start seeing what we're doing. But yeah, thank you for joining me. And if you have any questions, and if anybody's studied in different countries, comment down below, let us know where you've studied. If you've gone to boarding school, also leave a little comment, let me know how you found boarding school. And till next time, thank you guys.